Hello students. So we have already started your English syllabus with the grammar part of chapter 1 number 1 sentences. We have completed that. So now let's begin with the literature part. And in literature we will start with the chapter number 1, that is Taro. So Taro, as the name suggests, is the name of a boy, and he got a reward. Why? Let's begin with the chapter and just see how he got a reward. So just have a look of the chapter, as most of you must not be having your books with you right now. So these are the pages. Okay. So let's begin with the glimpse of the story. So this particular story is taken from an old Japanese folk tale. Okay, and that is about a young lad Taro who is a poor woodcutter. He loves his old parents very much, but because of his poverty, is unable to fulfill their wishes. He works very hard to fulfill the desires of his parents, and at last granted with a miraculous boon in return. So, this is a Japanese folk tale. So, do you know what is a folk tale? Tale, as you all know, is a story. So, folk tale is basically a typical traditional story of any place, okay, of any state or any place that was originally passed on to people in a spoken form, not in a written form. Means, for example, you have heard a story from your mother. Your mother must have heard that story from her mother or the grandmother or the great grandmother, right? So a story that is passed on in a spoken form is called a folk tale. So this story is also taken from a Japanese folk tale, and this story is particular about a young lad. What is a young lad? Lad is a boy or a man. Okay, a young man is also called a lad. So Taro was a lad, a young boy who is a poor woodcutter. Okay, he was so poor, and his profession was that he was a woodcutter. So woodcutter, as you all know, a person who cuts the wood, but woodcutter is a profession. Okay, so if a person is doing something or cutting the woods to earn his living as a profession, then it is called a woodcutter. So he was a poor woodcutter. He loves his old parents very much, but because of his poverty, is unable to fulfill their wishes. Okay. So as you know that whomsoever we love, which we always want to fulfill their wishes. So he loves his parents very much. His parents were very old, unable to do the work. So he always want to support them and fulfill their desires. But because of his poverty, he was unable to do that. So he works very hard to fulfill the desires of his parents and at last granted with a miraculous boon in return. So his parents were having many desires, especially his father was having a particular desire to whom he want to fulfill a lot. Okay, so he works very hard to fulfill that desire, and at last, in return of his very hard work, he got a miraculous boon. So, what is a miraculous boon? What is miraculous? It is related to a miracle. Okay, that helps you to make your life better. So, miracle is completely unexpected thing that we are not expecting and that happens suddenly, and which is very lucky for us. And what is boon? Boon is something that is very helpful to improve the quality of the life. Okay, so let us start with the chapter. So one evening, when Taro and his parents were sitting in a corner of their hut that was on a hillside, a strong wind whistled through the cracks of the hut and everyone felt very cold. So here you can see in the picture three persons are here. So you can see that the young one, the boy that is looking like a boy, the young boy is Taro, and the old man is the father, and the old woman is the mother. Okay, so they three are sitting over here, and over here, Bacha, you can see that there is a box and arrow is towards the father. Means these words are spoken by the father directly in a direct speech. So he was saying that I wish I had a cup of sake. It would warm me and do my old heart good. Okay. So one evening, what happened when Taro and his parents were sitting in a corner of their hut? Okay, they were sitting inside their house in a corner, and what happened suddenly? That was, and the house was where the location of house was, that was near a hillside. So, what is a hillside? Hillside is the area which is at the side of the hill. Means the area, whichsoever area is there at the sides of the hill is called the hillside. A strong wind whistled through the cracks of the hut and everyone felt very cold. So suddenly what happened? What happened after that? A strong wind whistled through the cracks of the hut and everyone felt very cold. Strong wind whistled. What is whistled? As you all know the meaning of whistling, but this is whistling. What is whistling? Whistling is a strong sound, right? So here made a high pitched sound. High pitched sound made by the strong wind. Wind, which a wind is the wild one. The air form which is in a wild form is called a wind. Air is the general air that is present, that is surrounding us all the time, and the cool and soothing air is called breeze. Okay, so a strong wind whistled through the cracks of the hut and everyone felt very good. So cracks of the hut, what are cracks? Cracks, you must have heard always that cracks are those parts which are not, completely separating two things. So cracks are those to break without complete separation into two parts. Okay, so huts were having many cracks, means that they were not the broken parts, but there were cracks over there, and everyone felt very cold. Why? Because the strong wind was coming inside the house because of those cracks of the hut. So the father said at that particular time that, so the father said at that time, I wish I had a cup of sake. Okay. So he just wished for something, and what he wished for? He wished for a cup of sake. What is sake? Sake is a drink, Bacha. Okay, it is an alcoholic drink in Japan. So it is a particular Japanese drink made up of fermented rice. Okay, so it is generally used to keep the body warm of the people over there. So he was very old, so he need warmth. So he was saying that I wish I had a cup of sake. It would warm me and do my old heart good. Okay. Means he was saying that if I will get a cup of sake, I will feel very happy to get that. Okay. I feel very happy and very good. So this made Taro sadder than ever. Okay. What made him sadder than ever? To think about his father. Means his father wants a drink, and he was, because of his poverty, he was unable to purchase that thing. And sadder means, sadder is the comparative form of the adjective sad. Okay, so for the heartwarming drink called sake was very expensive. So that heartwarming drink sake, it was very expensive. What is heartwarming? That gives you a great pleasure, happiness. Okay, and expensive, that is very costly. So the drink was very costly. That thing which will give a great happiness to the father, it was very expensive. Next morning, Taro jumped out of bed earlier. Means from his usual time, he get up earlier than usual, and made his way to the forest. What is usual? Usual, any habitual action. Okay. So usually, normally or habitually, what we do is called usual. So from his usual timing, he get up early and just went to the forest. He chopped and cut. What is chopped? Chopped is to repeatedly just blow sharp axe or knife to cut something. Okay, and chopped and cut means he want to cut a particular tree. His mouth was dry because he was working so hard. His mouth was very dry, and his face was wet with sweat. Okay, so he repeatedly just chopping it very hard. So he was feeling very dry, and his face was full of sweat. So he was what he was thinking, my poor old father, because he continuously thinking about his father, that because of me, because of my poverty, my I am unable to fulfill the desire of my father. So he was just thinking that if only he was as warm as I. Okay, if means he was just wishing that my father will also be as warm as I am right now. Next is suddenly Taro stopped chopping. He heard the sound of rushing water. He ran in the direction of the sound. Could it be? Could it possibly be rushing water? So, what he was thinking about at that time, he was just thinking that about something. Means the arrow is towards Taro. So these are the with a question mark. This is an interrogative sentence. He was asking to himself only. He was talking to himself only. So suddenly what happened? Taro stopped chopping. Okay. So he stopped that work that he was doing at that time. He heard the sound of rushing water. So what is rushing water, Vicha? Rushing water means a moving thing that creates a lot of sound. So moving quickly, that's why it is making a lot of sound. So there was the sound of the rushing water. He ran in the direction of the sound. Okay, he ran over there from where the sound was coming. So he was thinking, could it possibly be rushing water? So he was just thinking that it must be rushing water over there, the sound which I am hearing right now. So after that, what happened? Taro saw a beautiful waterfall hidden behind a rock. Kneeling, he cupped a little in his hands and put it to his lips. Now again, an arrow is there. So this is again the direct speech of Taro. He was saying, I can't believe this waterfall has delicious sake instead of water. So what happened? Taro saw a beautiful waterfall. Okay. So as the sound was coming to him of rushing water, and rushing water was from the sound was from a waterfall. Okay, it was a very beautiful waterfall hidden behind a rock. Okay, from behind the rocks the water was coming. Kneeling. Kneeling means to bend down in on the knees. Okay, when we bend down on our knees, that is called kneeling. So he just kneeled down, bent down on her knees. He cupped a little in his hands. But is cupped to make the shape of a cup of the hands. Okay, so held in hand by making the shape of a bowl. If we will make the shape of a bowl of our hands, so that is called cup. So he cupped a little in his hands and put it to his lips. Okay, so he put it to his lips. He just drank it. So he was what did he say at that time? He said, "I can't believe." Okay, sign of exclamation, a sudden expression. Okay, exclamatory sentences we have read now. So I can't believe, he was saying, this waterfall has delicious sake instead of water. So but that waterfall was containing the delicious sake instead of water, and he was so happy at that time. So what is the meaning of delicious? Delicious, you can see that delicious is the thing which is very tasty. Okay, so and which give you a great pleasure to eat, right? So that highly pleasant to eat taste, and which is very tasty. So next what happened? Okay, now you got it, that there was delicious sake instead of water flowing from the waterfall, and he drank it and he was extremely happy. So next what happened? Tero quickly filled the pitcher he had with him and hurried home. The old man was delighted with the sake. After only one sip of the liquid, he stopped shivering. So Taro quickly filled the pitcher. What is a pitcher? Pitcher is a big jug kind of. Okay. So or any container in which you can contain something, you can carry something. So Taro quickly filled the pitcher he had with him and hurried home. Hurried means when you are in a great hurry, when you rush towards something. So he did it in a great hurry because he was so happy that he got the sick and he can fulfill the wish of his father. So when he reached home, the old man was delighted with the steak. Obvious, as hurriedly he went there, he reached there. He just gave the your that particular steak to his father to drink. So the old man was delighted with the steak. So what is delighted? A feeling that make you very happy. Okay, so that feeling or showing great pleasure, happiness towards something. So he was very happy to get that steak. After only one sip of the liquid, he stopped shivering. Shivering means shaking, right? So, shaking slightly and uncontrollably as a result of being cold. Because of cold, sometimes it happens that he shivers. So, he stopped shivering at that particular moment when he took the one sip of that liquid. Okay. So now in this particular paragraph, you can get that the boy has given the sake to his father, and the father was very happy. Next, what happened? That afternoon, Taro's father politely offered his neighbor a cup of the sake. The lady drank it greedily. Okay. So after that, there is again a direct speech of the father. Father was saying, "You see, the sake is from the waterfall that my son found in the forest." Okay, so as he was a very normal person and a good-hearted person, so he just revealed the truth in front of the neighbor. But the neighbor was very wicked and greedy. So, so that afternoon, Taro's father politely offered his neighbor a cup of sake. So that afternoon, what the father did, he was a good hearted person. See, so he offered that sake to his neighbor as well. Okay, so the lady drank it greedily. Greedily means greedily is your when you are very eager to get something. Okay, so Taro's father politely offered his neighbor. Politely means in a very good, with a very good gesture, in a respectful or considerate manner. So he offered the neighbor a cup of sake, and the lady drank it greedily. He was a greedy person, so he drank it greedily. Greedily, that a person who shows the excessive desire of something that more than he or she needs of that. So the man said, "You see, the sake is from the waterfall." So he directly revealed the truth that this sake is from the waterfall that my son found in the forest. Okay. So the neighbor left in a hurry. So the neighbor left from there in a great hurry, as she wanted to reveal that particular news in front of all the people. So by nightfall, she had spread the story throughout the village. What is nightfall? Nightfall is the time when the sun sets. Okay, so it is also called the dusk time. So by nightfall, she had spread the story throughout the village. Throughout means throughout in every part. Okay, so she had spread everywhere the story. So, which a nightfall means the sunset time is called dusk, and the early morning time, the sunrise time is called dawn, DAWN. So the lady said that we must see the magic waterfall. Okay, so she said everyone that we must see that magic waterfall, and we can also get the sake from there. So what happened next? So that evening there was a long procession of visitors to the woodcutter's house. Each person heard the story of the waterfall and took a sip of the sake. So that evening what happened? There was a long procession. What is a procession? When somewhere a number of people, they used to move forward, uh, means to, for example, to attend a ceremony especially. Okay, so there was a long procession of visitors to the woodcutter's house. Woodcutter's house, there were many people, visitors were coming over there. Each person heard the story of the waterfall and took a sip of the sake. Okay, so they asked the father from where you got the sake, and the father has again repeated the story, and everybody got a sip of the sake. What happened next? Next morning, Taro started to for work even earlier than the morning before. Okay. So he intended to go to the waterfall. When he reached, he found to his great surprise all his neighbors there. So in the next morning, what happened? Tero started for work even earlier than the morning before. Okay. That he has gone to that forest one day before in the morning. So he went over there again earlier than that time. Okay, so he intended to go to the waterfall. Obvious, he got the sake from there, so again he want to go over there. So what is the meaning of intended? Means when we are having intention to do something. Okay, so means that is planned or purposed. So he intended to go to the waterfall. So when he reached there, he found to his great surprise, means he was greatly surprised to see that all his neighbors were there already. Okay, they were standing over there. Why? As we all know that they have heard about that magic waterfall, about the sake, so they all want to get that particular sake because the sake is very expensive. So so then one villager knelt and held his mouth under the waterfall to drink. Okay, so what is knelt? Knelt means to kneel down. Okay, and to bend down on the knees. So it is the past form of kneel. So one villager of them, he just knelt down and held his mouth under the waterfall to drink. Okay, so what was the reaction of the neighbor? He said, "Water, nothing but water." Okay, he was very surprised that there is only water, nothing. It was only the water. So the other neighbor said, "We have been tricked." So what did they all say? That we must have been tricked. That they must have passed a joke towards us. Okay, who? Taro and the father. So tricked is an action to intend to deceive someone, either as a way of cheating someone or as a joke or form of entertainment. Tricks by the jokers, as you see, or the magicians. So next. So muttering their anger and disappointment. What is the meaning of muttering? Muttering it is a privately expressed complaint or expression of dissatisfaction when you speak something continuously to show the anger or disappointment. What is disappointment? When you are not happy with something, a sadness caused by the non-fulfillment or dissatisfaction of one's hope or expectations. So they all left the place. So once more, Tero went there and just sipped one means that particular water. So again, the direct speech of Tero, he said, "It is not water, it is sake." Means again, the waterfall has given sake to Tero instead of water. To the thoughtful son, the magic waterfall gave the delicious sake. To everyone else, it gave only cold water. To the thoughtful son, what is thoughtful? Thoughtful is a carefully considering thing. Carefully considering things are called thoughtful. So he was a person who was carefully considering everything, especially the desires of his father, his parents. So to the thoughtful son, the magic waterfall gave the delicious sake. Everyone else, it gave only cold water. So what happened next? The story of Tero and his magic waterfall reached the emperor of Japan. He sent for Tero and rewarded him. Then he named the most beautiful fountain in the city after Tero. So what happened? The story of Tero and his magic waterfall reached the emperor of Japan. Okay, emperor, you all know, the king of Japan. He heard the story of Tero. He sent for Tero and rewarded him. He rewarded him. What is reward? To give something as an appraisal, as I told you earlier also. So give something to someone in recognition of their services, efforts, achievements, or good deeds. So he rewarded him, and then he did one more thing, that he named the most beautiful fountain that was in the city after Taro. Means he has named the fountain Taro. So there is a direct speech of the king, that is, this is to encourage all children to honor and obey their parents. So the king said that the particular thing has been done just to encourage. Encourage means to give support or to give confidence and hope to someone. So it will give a confidence and support to the other children also to do well and to do good deeds in their life. Children to honor and obey their parents. Honor means, and honor is a quality that combines respect, proud, and honesty, everything. So, honor and obey their parents. To obey their parents is very important, right? So, bacha, in this story, Taro has shown us that parents are the most important part of our life. Okay, and if we will do good for them, God will also help us in every way. So, bacha, love your parents, respect them, respect your elders. Okay, and hopefully you have understood the chapter. Just go through with the chapter, and just note down all the queries. You can ask all your queries in the Zoom session. Okay, thank you so much. Have a good day ahead.